guys, how's it going? It's Nick here once again as always, and currently we are on our way to Pai from Chiang Mai, and we stopped over at a waterfall, and I thought that it would be a perfect opportunity to talk to one of my best friends, best buddies, Kiefer, who I've mentioned previously on some of my videos, and here he is crossing a bamboo bridge. We are heading to where?
Human Face Rock.
Human Face Rock.
Which doesn't look like a human face.
And it's something waterfall. And I figured while we're hiking up there, I would just introduce him and basically talk with him about how he got started. Because Kiefer is very recent to the whole digital nomad lifestyle, just making money online, working online. He spent a year living in Australia. And before that, Kiefer and I met in the fraternity, and we've been really good friends since then. So, Keith, you want to grab a mic and just break down your whole story of how you started from super small town Lindsay?
And we have to talk about this as we're walking up a hill.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. So yeah, I grew up in Northern Ontario, tiny little shitty town. Same story that everybody else has from a small town. Basically, all my friends are married, they have kids. Not a very unique story, right? So I had this delusion where I'd played so much World of Warcraft in high school, smoked a bunch of weed, very boring life. And I always thought I used weed as an escapism because I didn't realize how dope life could possibly be. But I had another friend from that small town. He starts university. My grades weren't nearly high enough to get to university. But I'm like, know what? Fuck it. I'm going to come to Toronto with you. So we get to Toronto, and I remember there's this awesome moment where it's midnight and we're painting our house, and the house was really shitty because none of us really had any money. And we're stoned and we're just painting and listening to music, having a good laugh. And then I ran out of painter's tape. Well, this is it. Brandon, I think we're done for the night. There's nothing else we can do. And then Brandon's like, what are you talking about, man? Just go to Metro. It's open 24 hours.
Yeah.
And my mind was blown. I couldn't fathom the idea of a 24-hour place.
Yeah.
So I walk out the door, and then I'm walking down Bloor Street, if you're familiar with Toronto, which is one of the main roads. Yeah. And there's all these girls coming out of these clubs, and it was people were drunk on the street, and there was so much happening, this big, beautiful scenario. And I realized I am in love with cities. I was so bored in high school that I literally used two forms of escapism, marijuana and video games. And then I get to Toronto and I'm like, I don't need either of these things. There's so much to do here, so infinite possibilities. So I got the painter's tape, I got home, I painted all fucking night long. Best night ever, when you have those affirmations that you just feel good about. And yeah, my life was forever changed. Became more social, got out of my introverted tendencies, really focused on realizing there's no value of being an introvert. The only value in life is to be an extrovert. So even if you are born introverted and you have those tendencies, work on them, get them out. You just expel that shit from your body because it's like a poison.
Tell me about going from in Toronto, finding the fraternity, and then don't really have to go in detail on the fraternity, but talk more about what got you to move out to Australia and spending a year in Australia working, which kind of led in eventually to you getting an online job and you now living in Chiang Mai.
Well, I guess the original push was I always want to live abroad, and Australia was safe. It's easy to get a working visa there from as a Canadian, and all my friends were traveling. Nick was traveling, our buddy Ryan was traveling. My friends were doing these amazing things, and I didn't have a business or anything like that online, but I wanted to taste it. I want to see what it was all about. And my original game plan was just land in Australia, continue bartending or doing something average, whatever. But yeah, so I hopped on a plane, got to Australia, super broke, literally almost $0. Struggled for a little bit when I got there, but then I found an e-commerce job for a women's fashion company out there. And then I faked a university degree for it, because I didn't have any real e-commerce or marketing experience or anything like that. But yeah, it's on the resume, and then once you're in the interview, it's a different process, right?
Yeah. And then your actions kind of speak for itself once you get started. Because you knew the skills, you just didn't have the paper.
Yeah, I knew the skills. I kind of knew the skills, and I just needed the paper. But fuck it, and But the job was actually pretty well paying, and it was a decent job. Like, I actually enjoyed the job, especially for the first month or two. And but after that 2-month gap, I started getting pretty bored of this office work. It was so mundane. I remember sitting there at my office desk, looking past my monitors and being like, I wonder how many times I've seen this exact image. Like, I saw it every single day. I couldn't even work from another desk in that office. It was so ridiculous. Like, it was just like one of those open concept, hey, we're a cool office, but really we're just cubicles without the walls. Yeah. Like, so it's without the privacy. So it's actually worse, I would argue. But I started hating it. Like, it just became this thing that I started resenting. And at that point, Nick recommended a book to me by Scott Adams.
How to Fail at Everything.
Yeah, How to Fail at Everything and Still Win Big. Douglas Adams or Scott Adams? Scott Adams. Yeah. And basically, the book was super valuable. I loved the book the entire way through. But there was one portion in that book where he would talk about getting jobs, and then the first thing he would do after he got that job is immediately start looking for a next one. There was no lull. Even if he was just like, this is my new dream job, the reality is you kind of like every job you do. It's like dating to an extent. Like, you like most of the girls you go on dates with. Like, but you can't just like marry that one girl, right? You got to keep searching. But most people fall into this job trap. They're like, my boss is dope, my office is dope, everything is dope. But the reality is most offices will offer the exact same shit. But there's a few offices that will offer better things. So like, keep working your way up. So I love that portion. Immediately I started looking for other jobs, and then I moved into different fashion brands, ended up working for a university at one point, just kept moving forward with this. And it was when I started working for the university, like, I think it was at my salary cap that I could probably get in Australia. I was making pretty good money at the time. And I realized I wanted to start digital entrepreneurship. Like, I knew it was going to be for me. And I always had Nick like berating me, being like, Kiefer, like, what are you doing? Like, I'd be like, hey man, like, I have this dope 9-to-5 and I'm making pretty good money. And Nick would be like, is that it? Like, is that it, buddy? And it was so weird. It was so in contrast to what everybody else was telling me. They're like, wow, you're making this and you have this really great job and you have I had pretty good freedom within that office job. And like, I was getting celebrated by my friends and family. And then I would always have Nick, who was just like, is that really all you can do? Like, what are you doing after work? Like, do you have your online thing going yet? So I really, really took that to heart. Nick always said $400 or $500 a week, and you can live anywhere you want in the world. So I'm like, well, maybe I can hustle that $500 a week on my side. So I got on Upwork. I started applying for similar jobs that were within the field that interests me, which is environmentalism and marketing. Like, I like to connect those two if I can. Marketing is more valuable than environmentalism, so like, I do what I can. But the goal at that point was just get to the $500 a week, which ended up not being that hard. Also, now that I'm out here in Chiang Mai, don't even know if $500 a week was necessary, because this place is cheap and you can do literally anything you want whenever you want to do it. But yeah, so my goal was get to that $500 a week, no problem. I did it within a month of actually trying, and I was doing that on top of my 9-to-5 job. That I was working, like, I was actually doing like 9 to 6, like, and I was doing Krav Maga on top of this, and there was constant training, and I was doing a bunch of other things. And people that say they don't have time usually have the most time, which is something I've learned, especially working in office jobs, because people after the work, they'd be like, I'm so exhausted, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna eat and get fat and do nothing. And they treated their lives like they were super, super difficult, so they started to believe it. But yeah, I always had like good peer support, I guess, and my friend just telling me, hey, get that $500 a week and you can literally do whatever you want whenever you want to do it. Yeah, so thanks to Upwork and thanks to Nick, now I'm out here in Chiang Mai trying to start my little digital marketing agency. Kind of teetering into a bunch of other things as well, but really just trying to find my focuses.
Yeah, so how did the environmental job came about? Like, do you remember interviewing for it, or what was going through your head before you got it, when you were interviewing for it, and then once you got it, like, how did that all escalate and come up?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't actually really thought about that. So it wasn't, I didn't just get that job. It wasn't as easy as that. It was easy, but it wasn't as easy as that. At first, I didn't really have any skills that I thought I could do online. So I just started like reading books, and then, so I read AdWords Copywriting Handbook. And then I go on to Upwork, and then I started applying for copywriting jobs, blog writing jobs. And I would do it, I would kind of like it. And I was making like, some of these blogs, like I think one blog took me, no joke, like 8 hours, and I got paid $30. Like, the money was small, but I was just developing those skills, and I knew if I kept going at it, I'd be able to make more eventually. But at that point, I probably took 10 to 15 Upwork jobs that were meh, like really not that good. So, but then eventually, like, this environmental job just popped up for digital marketing for an environmental company. This guy actually ended up reaching out to me at the end of it all because I built up my Upwork profile. I had a pretty good resume from job hopping so many times in Australia that I actually worked for some really reputable businesses. And like, I had a really diverse resume. Like, it took me 1 year to build like a pretty diverse resume because before that I had almost nothing. Yeah, so you just have to do that grind on Upwork, and you're gonna really waste a lot of time, and you're not gonna make a lot of money. But if you just keep at it, you'll kind of find what you get good at, and you'll start to find your niche, and then the money comes eventually.
Now that you're in Chiang Mai, and I guess it's been like what, a month or so?
2 months.
2 months. 2 months. 2 months of you now being in Chiang Mai. How does your day-to-day life look like? Because now that you have like the $500 a week, are you living comfortably? Like, do you feel that, oh, I could just kind of, you know, this is enough kind of thing? Or is there like the next level for you and the next level? Like, what's your goals like and what's your day-to-day like?
I guess we'll start the day-to-day first. The day-to-day is, there's so many cool cafes and co-working spaces and all these great people. Like, I met all these guys this week, like, pretty much. And now here we are road tripping to Pai on our motorcycles and just having this great time. So, the day-to-day is just going to co-working spaces, kind of getting out of your comfort zone, meeting people, asking what they do, figure out what their digital nomad work is. And then you just swap stories, and everybody has very similar stories. They kind of a piece of shit, and then they became a not piece of shit. Like, it was, yeah, that was kind of the general. And goals, the 500 a week was the baseline to come out here. That was to kind of prove to myself I could do it. But the most beautiful thing in the entire world was getting my hours freed up, my 40-hour work week life back, and just being able to focus on my own projects. So I don't think when you come here and you get all this time back, especially if you're doing your $500 a week on top of your 9 to 5, when you get this time, it's the best feeling in the entire world. And I've traveled Thailand, I've done a bunch of cool things, but now I'm really starting to focus and pursuing my larger goals because like 500 a week isn't really going to take you. You can live in Thailand, have a good time with it, but like, it's not really an end goal, right? So yeah, you want to keep pushing yourself, keep going forward, constantly looking for new clients, and yeah, eventually I kind of want to write myself out of my business would be my long-term goal.
There's actually a really good book that I recently listened to, which is Built to Sell. I forgot the name of the author, but that's like the book that talks about a guy going from he has employees and he has a development agency, but all the work is on him all the time. And then it takes him from there all the way to how to automate business and take yourself out of the business and eventually sell it for $5 million. So that's going to be the next thing that you're going to read/listen to. Beautiful. But yeah, so we're going to continue on to Pi. I want to be interviewing everybody that I'm with. I think I'm with a very interesting group of people all doing different things. If the two people that watch this video that are curious about your life, where can they find you?
For a marketer, I should probably have more online, but I would just say add my Facebook. Like Nick will probably put it down below.
Facebook, Instagram, I'll include it for you guys. So this is Kiefer Micallef. This is like one of my best friends in the world. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you got some value out of it, leave us a comment down below. If you have any questions, give us a like, give us a thumbs down if you didn't like it, if you thought that we're kind of assholes or idiots, whatever. But yeah, thanks for doing this, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the waterfall.
Peace out.